How do you manage with all three businesses
I'm
together?
quite a task, so I'm like looking to build the teams at the moment.
Okay.
So everywhere I'm like, there are critical functions that I'm looking at. So for operations, I'm building teams. For the sales, now I'm slowly trying to develop the second level of leadership. Investments, I'm personally leading. So that's where I have to put in a lot of time. Marketing, I'm saying, okay, fine, you guys take care of some building teams again over there. Overall strategy, I'm seeing like which all places who all needs to come in, putting in checkpoints of what are the performance indicators, where if people are getting stuck, how do I get through that? Building a board of advisors,
Okay.
so all that whole thing is what we are building.
Oh, okay.
My background is in ITS and ITMS,
What's that ITS?
Intelligent Traffic Management System, Intelligent
Okay.
Transportation System.
Oh, okay.
So worked with Karnataka government, so Tamil Nadu government, a few other state governments before. And government projects is what we used to do. We used to be subcontractors, and now slowly moving in towards taking up mainstream projects.
Hi, Giridhar. Welcome to Resolve. It's lovely having you on the show today with us.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so let's just jump into the interview.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Who's Giridhar? What are your likes?
I mean, that's a very deep question because whenever we ask who's Giridhar or who are you, we start with our profession. That's where our identity is built, right? So it's a deep question. But if you ask me that question, I'm mostly looking at I'm a person who would like to have fun, who would like to go out and play and chill with friends and be happy. That's what I'm at the core. But then if I see a problem that is existent, which is either affecting me or the society or the people, I would like to jump in and solve that.
Okay, interesting. What are some of your hobbies, your passions, your interests?
My I have a very wide spectrum of hobbies. I do a lot of play. I play cricket. I play pickleball. I shoot pistol. I run. So there are a bunch of things that I do in terms of sports. A bit of reading. Traveling is my interest. I would love to run, hike, go on trips. It's mostly across the spectrum. Music is an interest, movies is an interest. I would like to always keep learning something or the other. So consuming new information is something that I relate to. So that's something that I get driven by a lot of times. If I find some kind of new information, then I try to take that piece of information related to multiple things. So I always believe in having one particular information relate in multiple disciplines.
Okay. And what are some of your turnoffs?
With people, with
In general, it could.
with people, it is generally communication. Yeah, so that's something that I evaluate a lot. That's something that I kind of pay keen attention to. People off during communications. So you text them and then they text you back after like 3 days, 10 days going MIA. That's a strict no for me.
Okay.
Either as people or as colleagues, it's a no. Sometimes you don't really care about people, or if you're not really invested into that, then it doesn't matter. But then if you're really interested into people, communication is a very important aspect.
Okay. And I can relate to that part. People taking their own sweet time to reply to
Yeah,
messages.
yeah.
It is. It just gets on my nerves at times. How about your education? What have you done? I mean, let's start from your school days.
Pretty much a Bangalorean. I was born and brought up over here in Bangalore. Went to Bishop Cotton's over here. Did my schooling from all the way from LKG all the way till ninth. 10th standard, that one year I moved to Andhra Pradesh.
Okay.
So there's multiple things that was going on at home, and then there's a lot of this IIT thing that was happening, and they wanted to have me, go into that what we call the long term over there. So you have your 10th, 11th, and 12th, which will be an integrated IIT coaching. That was a thought process to a certain extent, apart from all the other things that were happening. So I studied my 10th standard in Andhra Pradesh near Tirupati, a place called Vidyaniketan, Sri Vidyaniketan. And then I came back to Bangalore for my PU.
Okay.
I was not purely into academics. I'm like, okay, I was done with that, and IIT was not happening for me. So I came back to Srirajapuram over here, did my PU, first PU and second PU, and then went into Ramaya for my engineering.
What stream did you take in your PUC?
PCM with computer science.
Okay.
Yeah. That is science with Komsky.
Were you certain that you wanted to pursue PCMC, or were you pushed into it? Was there pressure?
Like all the other students in India, computer science engineering is supposed to be the best profession according to a lot of parents. So that was a direction that I was nudged into, if not pushed, after my 10th standard. So my interest was to pursue something in commerce. Commerce, arts was my interest. And looking at my roadmap that they wanted me to pursue engineering and computer science, I was convinced that PCMC is the right way to go forward. So that's where we landed with the PCMC.
So you just mentioned that you wanted to either get into arts or commerce, and being nudged into science. Was there any disappointment there? Were there any conflicts at home?
Being okay, so a little bit of background. Since I am the only child, there's not much of conflicts that happen. Generally, they listen to me about whatever I am given most of the freedom. But sometimes when it comes to career, some advice are given, and really I did not have that kind of maturity. I mean, today's generation, Gen Z, is very different. That they know what they exactly want. At least in my time, about 20 years back, I don't think we had that kind of a clarity in our minds. At least most of our friends in our circle. So generally, the parents' advice is taken, and there's no conflicts as such because it was a small family, loving family, no brothers sisters to fight about. So either you listen to me or you convince me about it. So they're like, yeah, you do PCMC is good for you. That's what I believe in. And then when parents give you that, without a nudge, they give you a nudge. You'll be like, yeah, okay, fine. They must be telling this for our own good. So that's where PCMC happened.
Interesting point that you touched upon. Why do you think our generation lacked clarity when it came to deciding?
There are a couple of things that have happened over the last 3 to 4 decades. That's what we keep observing, right? How the generations have moved from, the comfort nature of what they had from the previous generation. Always our parents used to say, we used to not get food properly to eat. We used to not get jobs to, we not have proper access to jobs. But then when it came to our generation, we had the jobs, but then we did not have the jobs that we wanted. Right? Today's generation, they have the jobs that they want, but then they don't have the work culture they want. That's why they keep moving from different places. So in that, if you look at those different parameters that have changed from generation to generation, I think our generation did not have adequate access to information. About 25 years back, the internet was available, but still there was a limited amount of information thrown in over there. You could have looked at various industries that are there. You could have looked at various professions that are there, but then how many people did actually put in the efforts to go and research about it and go in depth? It was not available at this scale of what's happening today. And it's much more easier to just pick up conversations with anyone over LinkedIn or Instagram today compared to what it was in 2003-4 time.
Yeah.
I think that is one of the things that have changed drastically. And even if you look at internships, during our time, we did not have access to this kind of internships. Today, every company is going behind interns. They're reaching out to various colleges for internships. But our time, we did not have that kind of an access. Even startups also picked up when, I think 2011-12 is when startup culture started picking up in Bangalore, when Flipkart and Ola and Uber, these guys started coming in.
You talked about work culture, especially I said this current generation, they don't like the work culture. So what did you mean by that?
I think a couple of things. So there, it's about, I think, their learning path, how they are able to grow in the particular organization, how well they are able to take in information, how much exposure that they are given to. I think that is one part of it. The other part of it is how they are being treated and whether that is suiting into their kind of a mindset. It's not about executing the task that they're given, but it's about how the task is being delegated to them, how well it has been curated, or how, with what clarity it has been given to them. It's a mix of those two. And if they're not able to find that, that person, what you call the vibe, right? So if they're not able to vibe with that particular place, I don't think they're sticking around.
I used to, what is the term that I'm looking for? I would in our local language, Solpa adjust Madi. So that was the formula that
Yeah.
I'd used for almost all of my professional life uh, until that hit its own threshold. So we talked about your college education days. Now, after you finished your PCMB, after you finished your PUC, what was next?
Personally, I was looking at something in the commerce segment, BCom. That was one of the things, one of the courses that I was looking at. And apart from that, if not that, I was having very keen interest in buildings and construction. My family had a background in real estate. We were land aggregators. So I was interested towards architecture and civil engineering. Those were my first priorities and first preferences. But again, when a lot of advisory comes in from family and friends, computer science engineering was the go-to course in 2004. That's when the boom was there. Sorry, in 2006. That's when we had that boom, right? And a lot of engineers were getting employed. In fact, during my time, the mechanical people, civil people, from any particular group, everyone were recruited into computer science, into becoming software engineers. So it was again a push from that point. When I mentioned that I wanted to become a civil engineer, apparently a lot of people told that civil engineering does not have any future, and people are there without jobs. So it was a very big concern from the family that you have to become a computer science engineer to have a future. So that's where that push happened. Again, I did not resist. I'm like, okay, fine. It's one more course. It's engineering. It's all right.
Looking at the current scenario, at least for the past 2 decades, and how our city has grown, do you now regret not going into civil engineering, or are you content with the path that you had to take that time?
Retrospectively, I don't think there is any regret at all, because a couple of things. One, if at all you want to do something today, it doesn't matter. We can build up on the skill. Picking up a civil engineering knowledge is at the tip of your finger today. Or you want to pick up the understanding of what happens in an architecture field, is again very accessible. So that is not a concern at the moment. And other thing that I realized is engineering as such is not something where we, at least for me personally, it is not something that I went there to learn something. Retrospectively looking at it, it's about how we analyze problems, how we solve the problems, how we picked up on, writing exams, right? Engineering doesn't teach you of, what is the kind of, syllabus that you need to learn. It's about how to handle those particular syllabus. It was mostly about that, and how do you handle any particular problem that is being given to you. I think that was the learning, rather than any specific stream or any specific science.
Okay. In engineering, so did you face any challenges during those 4 years? How was your experience in your engineering college?
Academically or
Both, in terms of relationships, that is within your college and academically, both.
academically, first year I was terrified. After my second semester, I was like, okay, this is not for me. After my first semester, because there's some of the exams that I was taking up, and I just completely blanked out. Physics, I studied a lot and I completely blanked out, and I came back home. I told them I'm not going to clear this, and I don't think I can clear my engineering either. So I was on the verge of giving it up, and I had so much pressure. So that's a cycle for me. I find a lot of pressure in some of the things, some of the activities, or some of the courses, or some of the routines that I take up. I crumble under that, and then after a couple of hours or a couple of days, depending on that particular activity, I recover completely and I go on to the other side of the spectrum.
Okay.
So here, the other side of the spectrum is, I don't really care what happens to my engineering degree. I'm never going to take so much stress again. So that flipped the whole aspect of how I looked engineering,
Okay.
So from the day I finished my physics exam, I stopped taking tension. I mean, I went through a lot of pressure, but after that I flipped it and I told there's no way that I'm going to take so much pressure. And that's where things started working in my direction. It's not like I started studying, but then I started attending exams in a very different way.
Okay. And so this flip that you talked of, was it something that just happened instantly, or did you have to work through that? So sometimes I fall back into old patterns, so that's where I'm heading at.
I think that was an instant flip. It happened like about 2 days. I still remember that. So 2 days was a complete darkness for me, and then I had to like kind of reframe my thought. I think it happened automatically, and I just kind of sat through thinking, why am I taking so much pressure, and what is the worst case scenario? Right, engineering is not the worst case, but when you're pushed into a corner, like a lot of things that come in, right? Like, okay, what's going to happen, and what's everyone going to think, what are my friends going to think, what am I going to think, what are my parents going to think? And then once you just let go all of those thoughts for a minute, and you're like, what are you left with? What happens if the degree doesn't come to our hand? There's nothing that's going to change. Yes, I might not have a degree. That's the worst case scenario. So that's where I drew the line, and then I said, okay, this is not going to happen. No, irrespective of what is the exam or what is going to happen, I'm going to handle that with calmness, and that's what happened, and that helped me quite a bit after that.
Makes sense. So
Yeah.
the pressures that you talked of, right, both internal and external, as a student, that was something that always weighed a lot on me. But what you've just shared with us is learning to let go of that pressure that one I put on myself internally, and the expectations of society and people around us, family and extended family and friends, and also the comparisons. When I learned to let go of all of these things and just focus on my own self,
Yeah.
that's when you're able to break free and then focus and just do what you wanted to do at that moment. I'd like to ask you one thing here again, because this is something that I'm beginning to see. It's a pattern among students and professionals as well, is carry a lot of stress and expectations which also arise out of comparison. What would you suggest to any of the viewers who might be in that situation today, who might be facing these challenges?
Different people go through different circumstances. It also is dependent on what is at stake and how you use that internal and external pressure. I don't think we should succumb to the external pressures, but internal pressures are good to a certain extent, that it could lead to a drive within, for achieving whatever you are looking to do. Um, One thing is knowing how to handle the pressures is a very important aspect of it, managing that pressures. When people are going through those kind of okay, over the last 15 years, there were several things that I kind of picked up on how to handle pressures. One of the things that I have been practicing and which worked was definitely meditation, apart from other aspects, which is going out and playing, right? I don't know how they can handle the pressures, but then they have to figure out their own mechanism. In my college days, that time I was not in tune with meditation, but then there's something else. I used to go out and play, especially during the days when we used to have exams. We used to make sure that we used to go out and play for that 1 hour, 2 hours, because they were stress busters for us. And every person needs to find their own stress buster. It's not one, written direct path.
It reminds me of the proverb or the saying, "All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy." But yes, I mean, thank you for
Yeah.
pointing that out. That even during my studying days, I need those avenues to let go of stress. Finding something that's personal, and personal to
Yeah.
me is more important than something that's generic. It could be something
Yeah.
as simple as painting or
Correct.
gardening or just watering
Yes.
the plants. If that's going to give me relief, then just do it.
Right.
And the importance of that can't be said. And unfortunately, I didn't know this, that these were options during college days and growing up. Even work for the first few years in my professional life, I had no idea self care or self love is what you're talking about now, right? I didn't
Yeah.
know these were options
Right.
because nobody had taught those things today. I mean, no one had taught that to me. It was only life that became the
Yeah.
biggest educator, teaching all of these things.
Yeah, there has to be some kind of guidance that has to be passed on from different sources, right? So, what are the different sources that you can consume information from? Today, we have so many sources. You look up on YouTube, ask how to manage stress. You'll be having about 100 different methods. You have your meditation sadhanas, you have your play, you have your reading, you have your journaling, multiple things that have been positioned. But that time, we did not have this kind of at least an understanding. And going to parents is possible, but only in dire circumstances we end up at that where you don't have an exit. But today it's slightly different in that way.
And we're hoping that this channel becomes one of those avenues also where people or students get some information through real life experiences like ours. So, Giridhar, what do you do? Take us through your work.
So I actually dabble multiple projects. I'm currently building three projects at the same time. So one is called Alumnatus, where we work with educational institutions to build their alumni communities. And alumni communities are very helpful, and they're like a gold mine for a lot of institutions. Seldom in India that they recognize what an alumni community can do, right? We just spoke about handling pressures, handling various circumstances in our life. And most of our school and colleges, we do have alumni who have gone through similar kind of situations. But then seldom do we reach out to our alumni and say, okay, this is what has happened. Is there any way out? And as kids, maybe we don't have that as during those days, we don't have that kind of drive, or we couldn't reach out to them. But then if there was already a channel that was created where the accessibility was there, maybe that would have been possible, right? Because you tend to relate to the people who have been in the same shoes, in the same environments, and that feeling of camaraderie comes out every time. So that is one of the things that we are doing. So we are building alumni communities who can come back to the institution to work with the students for career insights, mentorships, overseas education or advisory, multiple things where they can contribute back to the institution and the students. And we are building networking opportunities among the alumni itself. It could be for social networking, bringing alumni back to participate in sports, intra-school and intra-collegiate alumni tournaments.
Okay.
We're doing social networking events, business networking events, and professional networking events. So this whole thing is a community that we're building as Alumnatus.
Okay.
So this is one of the initiatives. From this initiatives was one more company that was spun off called Sports Centric, because we realized that sports is a big part of bringing alumni back. Once we started doing some events, we realized that sports is something that is needed in the working environments as well for working professionals. So, Sports Centric was spun off at that point in time, essentially to build sports communities within working environments. So, once we started doing that, we started getting a lot of response from the corporates as well. That's where we set up something called as Corporate Super League, wherein we started hosting inter-corporate football tournaments.
Okay.
So essentially, our idea is to. So one of the places where I related to this is I used to play cricket during my college days. Once I finished my college, and I used to play cricket, I used to play badminton, I used to play table tennis. We used to bunk college, and we used to always be there in the sports complex. And now, once I finished my college, there's no avenues for me to go and connect with my sports buddies. And 10, 15 years pass by, and then we see everyone disconnected. Some people are already playing in that area, they get some kind of channel, but then others don't. The idea was how do you bring back 3 hours of playtime on a weekly basis in the life of a corporate professional. That's where the thought process started. So imagine if you had your friends whom you work with going and playing on a daily basis some of the other sports that you're interested in. And even that particular relationship changes, right? Like the way you talk to a teammate and the way you talk to a environmentally restricted colleague is very different. So that's where you can break those shackles and open up yourself to other people. I think that bond changes. That's where sports centric kind of steps in over there. So that's what we are looking, that at least that is our goal. Now, to get to that, we started with the lowest touch point, which is conducting intercorporate leagues. And then slowly we have done a few tournaments where we do intra-corporate tournaments. So while we are doing intra-corporate tournament, we also give them practice matches, which builds at least a little bit of rapport among the teammates instead of just a 1 day or a 2 day engagement. So if you do something for like, let's say, about 8 days or a period of 1.5 months, that rapport would have got built. So that changes the work culture and the environment.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's where sports-centric is coming in, and a lot of other things that have opened up over there. Probably I'll inform you once we have announced that in public.
Absolutely. I look
Yeah.
forward to your successful.
There's something. Yeah, there are quite a bunch of things that we are very excited about for the next 6 months. So that is sports-centric, and the third one is called Parkment. As the name sounds like apartment, that's the whole idea. Apartment, people live there. Parkment, the vehicles stay there.
Okay.
So we intend to decongest roads of Bangalore. That's our thought process. And now that we stay in urban areas and places have got very congested and parking is such a big issue, we are looking to decongest it in a way that in a place of parking 5 vehicles, we should be able to park about 50 vehicles by going vertical. So that is the thought process.
Okay.
Yeah. So these are 3 companies or 3 projects that I'm currently engaged in.
So it must be a lot for you to handle. Is it easy to handle 3 projects simultaneously?
It does take a toll. Yes, it is a lot of a lot of thought that has to go into every single community, and everything is different, right? So it is extremely challenging, but somehow I'm able to latch onto that. The biggest problem is your context switching. So you are deep in one particular project, and then you have to switch your thought process into another project and talk about, let's say we're talking about sales in Alumnatis, and suddenly there's a on-ground issue with Parkment. We have to switch our thought and go into that. And then suddenly there's one tender that is running live in another place, and we have to switch over and go into that.
Okay.
And then you have a sports event that is coming up, so we have to switch on and go into that. All this happens in this period of like 3 hours. It's not in a whole day, right? So it's a lot of context switching, which is challenging. More challenging part of it is to ensure that you don't dump a lot of work and a lot of thought on the people you are working with. Sometimes we are already there in that zone of understanding, and we've thought deeply about various aspects, but people whom we are working with are not integrated so much because they are already maybe they're handling only one function. But when we go and give them a lot of, not even work, a lot of thought itself, that itself is very overwhelming. So I think there's a line that we need to draw in terms of how much information that we also throw out over there onto people. I think that's also very important. That's also quite a bit of a challenge.
How does a normal day look for you with these 3 projects?
As an entrepreneur, that's one thing, right? You can't draw a line between what time or what point in a day that you're working. So you wake up in the morning, whatever time that you wake up. I wake up, I'm an early riser, so 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, whatever time that I wake up. And then you have a lot of thoughts that are already rushing. So you're slept on work and you wake up and you already have a lot of thoughts. So it becomes important for us to organize those thoughts and put it in some place so that you can push out those thoughts once people get to work. Right? So the work starts as soon as we wake up. I think that's where it starts for an entrepreneur. I would say to a certain extent you're disconnected but yet connected to your work at every single point in time. Because I'm working on multiple projects, it becomes important for me to plan my day or plan the list of tasks that I have to work on the previous day itself. So it becomes easier for me to manage those tasks. So high level, I work on about 2 to 3 functions. One is building teams and building funds and building clients. These are the 3 major things that are needed. And apart from that, every other function can be outsourced, delegated, and worked upon. Since we are at an early stage right now, I'm building those teams also. And obviously, there are disadvantages, but at the same time, there are advantages as well when you're building 3 different projects, because your network is also increasing, and you'll be able to leverage one connect into another company as well.
Does this give you the comfort of a work life balance when compared to a 9 to 5? Did you always want to be an entrepreneur or was this something recent?
From a long time, from the time I was a kid, I was told that okay, it's nice to have your engineering and then go. You can go and do your MBA and then have a cushy job, or you can set up your business. But then I think a large part of it comes in from looking at what has happened in my family also. My dad is an entrepreneur. He's into real estate and a few other things. So I think I kind of grown up watching him. So um, I was never told that I should take up a job, but I was never told that I should not take up a job. So that freedom was given, and that was up to me. So in that way, I chose something which is something which I was attracted to, which is building my own business.
Okay.
It was probably something that I was attracted to from a long time. During my college days itself, I was taking up a lot of initiatives. I was thinking about businesses. I used to read a few business reports. Whatever used to be thrown at home, I used to just pick it up and read them randomly. So I think that way I kind of picked up a few nuggets in terms of what goes into a business. I think that kind of drove me into it.
Okay.